Retail matters, but this time in the grocery trade, and specifically the brands which are topping the sales charts in this country. The top 100 brands report from Checkout magazine, and the ratings agency Nielsen names Coca-Cola as the biggest selling brand in the Irish grocery market for the 9th year in a row. We can speak now to Stephen Wynne-Jones, who is the editor of Checkout magazine. Stephen Wynne-Jones, does this prove, I suppose, that with the heavy advertising we see for Coca-Cola, that advertising works?
Well, obviously, the Checkout Top 100 Brands, Jonathan, is the most comprehensive barometer of the biggest selling brands in the grocery space. It's based on value sales. I think when it comes to advertising, what brands really need to do is communicate their brand values to consumers, to communicate a message of how they fit in with a consumer's lifestyle, as opposed to maybe traditional advertising, which was very much top-down. This is what your brand means. This is what the brand can do for you.
So there's a bit more of a communications process going on whereby companies are doing a little bit more research to see how individuals are actually receiving the message that they're giving to them.
Exactly. There's been a lot of proactive work by the likes of Kerry's Foods, for example, around its Denny and Galty brands, particularly in-store, marketing the sliced ham ranges around people's needs at different times of the day, things like that. You also have, obviously, the Coca-Cola Names campaign, the Share a Coke With campaign, which is one of the biggest campaigns in FMCG this year so far. And that's very much tapping into a kind of a social consciousness around the brand of Coca-Cola, as opposed to just being another carbonated beverage.
Now, there are some Irish brands which are doing quite well, particularly perhaps Avonmore getting into second place. That's
right. Avonmore has actually maintained second place now for 5 years in a row. And what's significant about Avonmore is that obviously as a milk brand, it's competing in a marketplace where private label or store brands have really gained traction over the past few years. So a brand like Avonmore really understands the need to keep the innovation stream going, to keep the brand front of mind with consumers.
The store brands are a factor we're hearing about again and again. With in these straitened times, their popularity is rising. Are the sales of own brands researched in this study?
And the sales of own brands specifically are not, but if you look at particular categories, I mentioned milk, Nielsen statistics indicate that own brand or private label penetration in milk has reached 47%, which means that almost 1 out of every 2 litres of milk that's bought is a store brand product, which obviously for big brands in the marketplace, it really reiterates the need to communicate their brand value, to communicate exactly how they fit in with the needs of the consumer.
And in terms of that communication as well, in the report it's pointed to that it's not just traditional media used for advertising, but there are more innovative measures which you alluded to earlier, and in-store promotions as well.
That's right. I mean, a lot of brands have gone in-store and really working with retailers now in order to maximise sales, not just of their own brand, but in particular categories as well. I know that Danone has worked extensively with the likes of Tesco in terms of lifting the sales of the chilled category. P&G has been very active in lifting baby category sales. So it's a very much more holistic approach being taken by brands in terms of lifting whole categories as well as their own sales.
And as well as the rise in the more inexpensive own brand, store brand products, there's also a trend here which is seeing some more expensive products increasing their sales as well. I just am noticing the innocent juice range rising 23 places, but also to return to the dairy category, the yogurts overall declining, but the luxury yogurt product is increasing.
Yeah, when it comes to a category like yogurts, obviously you have the mainstream brands that you're familiar with, like your Yoplait and Danone and these brands. But brands that have been able to communicate a real added value aspect about their product, such as Glenisk, which has risen 13 places this year to 39th. I mean, that's a brand that's really been really successful at communicating itself as having an inherent added value, that it means something more. It's made with natural ingredients. Really has a very strong proposition for consumers.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks for that. Stephen Wynne-Jones, the editor of Checkout magazine.